Do you have a purpose? What is it? And can human beings really have purpose, like one single purpose we can find? And if so, how do we find it? If you ask a coach, personal coach, or look into self-help books, self-development, or some psychology books, you must likely find these 3 or 4 circles, which we get into, representing a practical way of finding your purpose. This is useful, but it has some flaws. And that is something which is the subject of the video today. We're going to take a look at that and how we can find some real ways of living more purposefully. So these 3 circles to show you your purpose are usually drawn like this. One circle being what you love to do. The other one being what you are good at, your expertise, your knowledge. And the third circle is what the world needs. So the world needs. Sometimes there is a 4th circle that says what you will get paid for. But I think that's not necessary, since if you can offer the world something it needs, it's very likely that you get paid. Here, where all the circles come together, in the center, you can find different options, different opportunities to define your own purpose. And it will be in harmony with you, your skills, and your environment. So this sounds very good. And this is definitely a very good start. There are many ways to go about this. And let's just use some examples. I love, let's say, poetry. What am I good at? Baking, bakery. I can look here and say, okay, in this cross-section, what would be something that the world needs and I could offer? And the answer might be the world needs deeper, more meaningful connections. Aha, okay, can I combine that to this? And there can be many ideas in here. You could be having your poetry club with baked goods events where people come, connect over a cup of coffee and a delicious bakery and talk poetry, or, well, and many other options, of course. You love travel and good at snowboarding. What does the world need? The world maybe needs more movement, more excitement. So how does these things, what can be found in here? Another example, I might love cooking and I can be a doctor or a physician. The world always needs a more healthy lifestyle. So it is becoming more obvious the choices that can be found in here that combine all these 3 together. So as you can see, this is a great way to start and find something that is more likely to be in accordance with your life and something that will bring joy and purpose into your life. However, the problem starts by many of us not really knowing what is it that we actually love. Truly, not something that is planted in our mind. Because if you look at things that easily come to mind, that we say, oh, I love doing that. If you have not tried it before, there is a good chance that you just saw it on TV, or you just heard people talk about it, or it sounded very cool 5 years ago when a couple of colleagues or friends were talking about this girl or this guy who went to, I don't know, that the other side of the world and did this and that, and it implanted this idea in your mind. So we don't really always know what we love. And even if we do, it is only the start of something. It is not a solid thing that we can grab and grasp into. We come back to that. What you are good at, as we have seen in other video about growth mindset, what you are good at right now is most likely accidental. You got good at it because it was the way you could study, or your family told you, or you decided 10 years ago, and with what you knew 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 50 years ago, and you increasingly got good at it. But you can become good at other things. Of course, there are limitations into that, but we should not allow this to keep us from a real life. So, yes, it is important, but we get to that also. World needs. And this is also significant because most of these books and people talk as if we live 200 years ago or 100 years ago, where our world and expectations for what will come was constant, at least for half a century, 30 years, you know. And if you go more back in history, things were constant for centuries. So we could have these expectations of, okay, I know what the world needs. Right now, the character of our new world is that it's exponentially changing, and we have no idea what the world needs. But so now, okay, sorry for breaking this. Now you might ask, okay, so what do we do? There is another way to look at this. When it comes to what we love, the best way to start is not by these ideas we have in our head, but by looking at what brings us alive. So, where do we find our joy plus aliveness? These are like compass, which we talk about a lot here. This is a compass that can tell us we are moving in this direction. Because usually, you see, we use maps, and these maps are usually from other people, and they lead to us living the life of someone else. Love, what we love, is only discovered by something that truly brings us alive. We sense it as when we are doing these things, that time passes without us noticing. We are in flow, and these are all good signals. Something else that can help us is, instead of deciding, oh, this is what I love, and now I'm going to build everything around it, start by micro experiments. Trying something. If you think that you love, doing events in poetry, volunteer in events in your city. Go there, see how it is, experience it for yourself. Maybe you find that you don't actually get that much joy and aliveness out of it. So then you can cross that off your list and go to the next one and to the next one until you become more sensitive to this and you discover things, and it can be different things. So it doesn't have to be just one thing. But this is the journey of self-discovery, which is also so important, and we talk about a lot on this channel. Let's leave that for now. What you're good at, here, it is important to break this apart, because what you're good at are many things. If you're a doctor, you're good at, you have been very good at studying very difficult material. You are good at explaining difficult or sometimes challenging things to strangers. You are good at remembering a lot of different solutions and remedies and different medicine and so on and so on. So when we break it down to these elements, we see that many of these things can be easily transferred to other things that you can quickly become good at. And these blocks can be very useful, and you can sometimes switch these things around much quickly than we usually think. When it comes to what the world needs, the best answer is we don't know. And to say we don't know is to keep the door open for the possibility. One thing, at least my suggestion, is that what the world doesn't need are robots. You see, many people are worried that robots will come and take our jobs. I am happy that robots will come and take the robots' jobs, the jobs that no human being actually were meant to do, the industrial jobs, the factory jobs. So let the robots do the robot's job. The world doesn't need humans to do robot jobs because robots will do it more efficiently and cheaper. So what the world probably will need is something that is truly human, which is human. It is our imagination. Robots, AI, and all that has no access to imagination. Well, at least this will be the last standing ground for humans, imagination. And imagination leads to innovation, to art, to creating better worlds, creating better concepts of life, creating new ways of being. So let's keep this door open and not be too quick with what the world needs. And instead, create a life well lived with joy and aliveness, with no regrets. And if we do this, there is a good chance that we become so good at it that there's always a space for what we do in the world. So just to recap quickly, love, we follow and find it through joy and aliveness. This is a compass that, is this a compass? Well, yes, it is a compass. That shows us the direction instead of some ideas that we have, some map, instead of following some map, some ideas we have today. This way we stay open to what is real instead of to something that we imagined today, which is imaginary. What we are good at, I suggest, let's become good at being good at. So we become good at knowing ourselves, knowing our qualities, and knowing how can we repackage them in different areas. And when it comes to what the world needs, although we cannot say what it will be in 5 years, in 10 years, let alone in 20 or 30 or 40 years, something we can be sure of, that what the world needs is to become better. One way that the world can become better is if it's populated by the people who are alive, joyful, innovative, imaginative, and they are good at what they do, and they are masters of what they do. That is something, I guess, we can be sure of. So we start here really, and this will help us to get here, and this combination will gift us worlds that we cannot imagine yet. And so, yes, you have seen it right. I had another shirt on in the beginning of this video, but then the sun came out and I forgot what I wanted to say. So instead of looking for this grand idea of purpose, which is going to be an idea, which is going to be a concept, something we can think of today. Maybe, and this is what I want to suggest, is to live more purposefully. And living more purposefully means living with the things that bring us alive every day. They are the signs that we are still connected to something we love, because there can be a separation there. And if we are not sensitive to what is going on in the present moment every day, in your day-to-day experience, day-to-day experience, we lose sight. And this is what I mean by map. We can be living in ideas about what we love. And one of our mental fallacies is sunk cost. Maybe I'll make a video about it, which is, if we have invested in something, we are very hard to give up on it. And this is what happens a lot. We have these ideas about what makes us happy, what is my purpose, this is what I really want in love and life. And once we have invested 20, 30, 40 years or longer in that, we don't want to give it up. And this is a terrible way to live. So, joy is the compass for what we love, keeps us connected with what is real, not imaginary. And I think if we live this way, there's no chance that we arrive at the end of our lives and say, was this really the purpose of my life? I don't need to know my purpose and be able to formulate it exactly. I rather come at the end of my life living purposefully, and at the end will just say to myself, wow, so this was the purpose of my life. A real life, I believe, is one that is discovered through interaction and engagement with what? With life itself. Instead of something that we imagined or had in our mind. So where are you on this journey of purpose or purposeful living, love, finding about yourself, self-discovery, finding what you are good at or want to become good at, your ideas about the world or anything at all? Let me know in the comments. Interacting with this channel, as you know, is helpful. Subscribing, liking, all that stuff. I guess that's it for now. I wish you a joyful day.